Hmm. It's been a little while, and I'm just gonna jump straight into it. Today, I want to speak about competition. Competition and comparison are two sides of the same coin. So we can speak about either. The interesting thing about competition is that we want to come out on top. When we compare, we tend to put ourselves down, right? Both of these activities are activities of the ego, of the mind. It's an activity of the mind that is trying to protect the the sense of self. I like to call it the small self because it's the part of self that's like, ooh, that's afraid, that holds worries, and who feels small, right? Who feels alone, who feels separate in the world, who thinks that it needs to protect itself, it needs to survive. Hence competition and comparison. Hence competition and comparison. When we compare, we put ourselves down. When we compete, we try to prove to ourselves that we are better than. The funny thing about competition, though, is that this is an attempt for the mind to prove to itself that the deep seated belief that I am less than is false, right? It's trying to prove to itself that this belief is false, trying to patch up, cover up this fear of being not as good as. So it's the exactly the same thing as comparison, but it is taking the different expression of competition. And perhaps we find ourselves winning, and the self will feel triumphant, potentially, for a moment, until we start over again, until there is a new threat to our incredibly fragile sense of I am worthy, I am good enough. Because this sense isn't based in love, in centered experience of the heart, but rather it is based on the last time we won something, the last time that we came out on top. And it takes an incredible amount of effort and energy to continue to try and be better, more beautiful, successful, whatever it is, takes an incredible amount of effort to keep all of this up, just so that no one is going to see the truth. The truth that you feel scared. Scared that you won't be enough. Scared that if you end up not being as good as whoever it is that you're competing with, you will end up alone. Of course, this isn't true. This is a belief that is based in some experience from some time. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. Doesn't matter. But it's time to recognize this fear, this belief, and to see it for what it is, and perhaps even to catch yourself next time you are about to compete, even if it's in your own mind. Notice yourself comparing, feeling that sense of, oh, I'm a little bit better than that person or that person. Look at me. I'm doing this or I'm doing that. What a great, interesting person I am. And there's no reason to put ourselves down for having these thoughts. They can also be in a celebratory manner. But let's be fully honest with ourselves. Because when we are comparing, when we are thinking, I'm better than, we're looking down on this other person, doesn't matter. We do this all the time. The mind does this, fine. But notice it, because behind that is hiding the true thing that we want to look at, which is the belief that I need to prove something. That if I am not better than, it means I am not good enough, which means that I am going to feel a deep sense of insecurity and sadness when I allow it to come to surface. All of this is the small self running around doing its thing, and there's nothing wrong with the small self. The small self is what it is. It's here. It gets to be here. We don't need to judge it. We don't need to push it away. Rather, it's the opposite. We give it love. Give it love. But we have to be brave enough to face it. We have to be brave enough to recognize it. And this is where a lot of people are not willing to go. Because we don't want our sense of self to fall apart. We don't want to recognize that we have vulnerable parts. that we aren't perfect because of that deep fear that someone will see that we're not perfect. So we don't even want to see it ourselves. And sometimes we can even fake vulnerability because vulnerability is now like the thing. It's like in to be vulnerable. Do you see what the mind is doing there? It's so interesting and it's beautiful and funny. Faking vulnerability in order to hide your actual vulnerability. Are you allowing yourself to be seen by yourself and by others? It's hard to be seen by other people. But the key is always love. The key is always love. Cultivate love in your heart for the small self, for yourself, for everything. Because then, if you show up in vulnerability and someone judges you, you're able to give them love too, and it doesn't matter what they think. And that is actually true. And this can take a bit of time to cultivate that deep well of love. But start by giving it to yourself when you notice yourself competing in the world, in your mind, whatever it is. Just notice it. Oh shit. I was just trying to be better than someone. Approach it with curiosity. Why is that? What do I feel like I'm gaining by being better than? And what am I afraid of? Because if I believe I'm gaining something, it means I'm trying to avoid something else. So what is it that I am avoiding here? And hold yourself in love in that, in all of it. Can you be the part that is giving you what you need? Which is acceptance, which is unconditional love. Can you cultivate that within yourself? Because that well of love is what is going to grow and grow and grow, and you will see that there is no end to it. It is one of the portals to experiencing the oneness that we are, the being that we are. It is one of the portals into complete and direct experience of life without a self to be filtering all of it. And it starts here. It starts with curiosity. with an open mind and an open heart, to see the tendencies of the mind and to also see that it's welcomed, it's beautiful, it's perfect exactly the way it is, and it doesn't need to change. It only needs to be seen and accepted. That is it. Blessings, blessings, blessings. All the love. Good luck.